Namaste viewers, this is Dr. Pratibha K, Head Department of Biotechnology at Kelly Society's S. Nizlingappa College, Jajanagar, Bengaluru. Today I'm before you to present a lecture talk on amino acids, introduction, classification, properties, and biological importance. Okay, in this I need to cover all these things, but today I'll be dealing only with introduction and classification. Okay, before I begin, I request you all to subscribe this channel to support. Okay, before I go to today's lecture talk, I request you to go through this particular slide. Reverence will transform in following ways: ordinary to extraordinary, mediocrity to excellence, failure to success, rim skill to consistent, slipshod to perfect, mundane to divine. If you have a spark within you with great desire to do good, you can become a transformer or healer. Think about this. Thank you. Now let us go through today's lecture talk, that is amino acids introduction part. Okay, amino acids are the basic structural unit monomers of proteins, right? These amino acids are monomers. They are single amino acids which are joined together to form dipeptide, tripeptide, then oligopeptide, then polypeptide, and macroproteins. Okay, although over 300 different amino acids are known to occur in cells and tissues, only 20 of them universally occur in life. Okay, in the proteins of almost all forms of life. It means other amino acids, they are actually the derivatives of these amino acids. These 20 amino acids are called protein amino acids, or standard amino acids, or magic 20. The others are called non-standard or non-protein amino acids. Okay, out of 20 standard amino acids, 19 are amino acids, whereas proline is the exceptional alpha amino acid having a imino group. Okay, I request you to kindly make a note of all this information in your notebook. Okay, invest quality of time in my videos. Amino acids are building blocks of protein molecules. You know that better, right? Protein molecules are the most important biomolecules in our body, right? They play a very important role in metabolism and maintaining our body, right? Proteins, amino acids, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleotides, those play a very important role in our body system, right? Here, amino acids are the structural units, right? Those are the monomers that make up proteins. They join together to form a short polymer chains called peptides, or longer chains called either polypeptides or proteins. These polymers are linear. Linear means they cannot see any kind of branches, right? Single chain, but the folding and refolding can be seen. But these polypeptide chain are polymers, those actually linear and unbranched, with each amino acid within the chain attached to two neighboring amino acids. Now let us understand here the basic general structure of amino acids. This is very important. Pay attention here. All amino acids include five basic part. Okay, basic parts. What are those? First one is a central carbon atom. Here you can see the central carbon atom. This can also be known as chiral carbon atom, right? And next one is that is the hydrogen atom, right? Here you can see the hydrogen atom. Then the third one is an amino group. Okay, this is the amino group consisting of a nitrogen atom and two hydrogen atoms can be seen. Okay, then the next one is here carboxyl group consisting of a carbon atom, right? A single carbon atom can be seen here. Then there's the presence of two oxygen molecules, right? Two oxygen molecules and one hydrogen atom can be seen. Okay, then we can see here another part of the amino acid general structure is that R group, R side chain. Okay, this R group or side chain consisting of varying atoms, which is the functional group or variable chain. So these are the parts of general structure of amino acid. You must keep this in your mind. Again, let me recall here. We can see here, this is the chiral carbon atom or alpha carbon atom. To this, there's the attachment of hydrogen atom can be seen. Then here you can see the amino group, right? And this side you can see the carboxyl group, and this is the functional group or side chain. Okay, this is the general structure of amino acid. In the exam, usually they ask you for 2 marks, give the structure of amino acid. That time you must write. Okay, I've already told this one. Over 300 amino acids which are present in nature, in which only 20 amino acids are engaged in protein synthesis. Those are coded by DNA. You know the central dogma, right? DNA to RNA, RNA to proteins. All the proteins which are coded by the DNA. You must write this proper basic structure of the amino acid when they asked in the examination. This structure is common to all, but one amino acid, that is proline, where you could not see the presence of proper amino group, right? And whereas in this case, instead of amino group, we can see here the immuno group. So this is the general structure of the proline. Only in proline, you cannot see the common general structure of the amino acids, but in all the 19 amino acid, you'll be able to see. Now let us understand here chirality. Okay, all amino acids contain at least one asymmetric carbon except for glycine. Okay, all amino acids are chiral except for glycine. For example, we told you that to this the central carbon atom, just the 4 valency is there. To this one side, there will be attachment of carboxyl group and amino group, other will be hydrogen, whereas R will be functional group. In the glycine, you can see instead of other varying group, they can see the presence of hydrogen atom. Okay, so only in this glycine, you can see that particular asymmetric exceptional can be seen. Whereas when you take a leucine here, one of the example, this is the this is the chiral carbon atom. Okay, this is the chiral carbon atom. One side hydrogen atom attached, other side amino group, and this side carboxyl group. And this is your R chain or functional group. In this R chain, you can see the presence of CH2, CH, CH3, CH3. Okay, so in almost all 19 amino acids, you can see this type of structure where R group will differ. Okay, with the other amino acids. So R group which is responsible for the differentiation of the other amino acids. Now let us understand more about side chain. The side chain, that is nothing but the R group, is what makes each amino acid unique, because these 20 amino acids, they have their own functional group in the R region. Each of the 20 amino acids has a different side chain structure. Okay, side chains contain mainly hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen atoms. Some amino acids even have a sulfur or nitrogen atoms in their R groups. Each amino acid has a name, abbreviation, and unique side chain can be seen. For example, here you can see this is the methionine, that is M18. Okay, here you can see the amino group, and this is the carboxyl group, and this is the hydrogen group, and this is the side chain. Always the side chain vary from one amino acid to the another amino acid. Okay, and here you can see in serine, amino group is there, carboxyl group is there, hydrogen is there. You can see the difference in their R group. Okay, this is the side chain. Now let us understand in detail about basic structure of standard amino acid. This is the chiral carbon atom, okay, hydrogen, amino group, carboxyl group, and the side chain. This is alpha amino acid in unionized form, okay. In the exam, they asked in ionized form or Zwitter ion, a dipolar ionic condition, you can write this particular structure. Here you can see alpha amino acid in dipolar ion or Zwitter ion form. Here you can see NH3 plus and COO minus. This amino group which has accepted the proton from the carboxyl group, and it has become CH3 plus, sorry, NH3 plus, and this is COO minus. So due to the presence of plus and the negative charge here, we can say this is a dipolar ion or Zwitter ionic condition or neutral condition. Okay. Whereas when you take the structure representation, you already understood this one. Only in the proline, we cannot see the common structure of the amino acid like this, right? General structure cannot be seen. To this central carbon atom, the ring which is attached here, okay? Here CO minus, right? Here to the R group which is attached to the central chiral carbon atom and also to the amino group. Each amino acid consists of an amino group, that is NH2, and the other one is carboxyl group. A hydrogen atom and a variable side chain or R group bonded to a central carbon atom called alpha carbon atom. Okay. In proline, R group is bonded to both the nitrogen and central carbon atom. Okay. Here you can see. Okay. This is the central carbon atom to this, and this is the amino group. They are attached together, resulting cyclic structure, which is the restricted conformation region can be seen. Thus, proline has a secondary rather than primary amino acid or amino group. Here you can see this is the polypeptide chain, right? This is the polypeptide chain. The individual amino acids which are joined together through the peptide bond and become polypeptide chain. Okay, you can see individual amino acids in the form of beads. Okay, each amino acids are joined together by the peptide bond. We have total 20 amino acids. You can see here the list of 20 amino acids. Now let us go through here nomenclature. Hope you are making note of all these points. Nomenclature here, the standard amino acids have assigned there with 3-letter abbreviations, okay, and 1-letter symbol. 3-letter abbreviations we are using here and 1-letter symbols we are using. For example, for glycine, we are using 3-letter, that is GLY is the abbreviation, and G is the symbol we'll be using to that particular glycine. Instead of writing the entire glycine, we can also write G, okay. Asparagine was the first amino acid discovered and isolated from protein of asparagus in the year 1806. And the last of the 20 amino acids discovered was threonine. Hope you're making note of all this information. Here you can see the list of 20 different amino acids. Okay, glycine, valine, isoleucine, methionine, glutamic acid. Okay. Then here alanine. Okay. Then cysteine. Then histidine, lysine. Okay, here you can see the aspartic acid. Okay, here you can see the serine, asparagine, proline, arginine, phenylalanine. Okay, here you can see the threonine. Okay, then leucine, glutamine, tyrosine, tryptophan. So these are the different 20 amino acids. Okay. If you want to write all this particular structure, you can pause this video or you can take screenshot. You can write. Okay. Here you can see the amino acids which are represented by a single uppercase. Okay. You can see single uppercase letter or 3-letter abbreviations can be seen. Okay, this makes it quicker and easier for notation purposes and are worth learning. Here you can see the list of amino acids giving the 3-letter abbreviations and 1-letter abbreviations. For example, alanine, that is 3-letter abbreviation ALA, and 1-letter abbreviation is A. Arginine, ARG, and for here 1-letter abbreviation is R. Okay, you're not starting from the A, is R. Asparagine, ASN, again is not from the A here, this is the N. Okay, aspartic acid, ASP, that will be here. The letter abbreviation they have taken here, D. Like this, so on and so forth, you are going to observe all the different 20 amino acids abbreviations. Okay. Now let us understand here about the peptide bond. Okay, I've already explained in detail about peptide bonds in proteins. Okay, you can go through that video also. Peptide bond. Peptide bond, here the amino acids which are the building blocks of proteins, right? That building blocks which are formed due to the presence of peptide bond. The sequence and the number of amino acids ultimately determine the protein's shape, size, and function. Okay, each amino acid is attached to another amino acid by a covalent bond. Okay, known as peptide bond, which is formed by a dehydration reaction. Okay, the carboxyl group of one amino acid, the carboxyl group of one amino acid and the amino group of the incoming amino acid combine, releasing a molecule of water. The resulting bond is peptide bond. Here you can see in this animation, okay, the C double bond O NH, okay, they join together due to the formation of peptide bond, okay, with the release of water molecule. Please have a look of that particular animation. All this A, B, C, D are the R chain. With the elimination of the water molecule, you are able to see their formation of the peptide bond. Okay, where C double bond O NH can be seen over there with the elimination of the water molecule or condensation process. Then how the peptide bond is formed? Even in detail I have explained in protein molecules. Please have a look. Whereas in this particular case, this is the amino acid 1, right? And another amino acid 2 can be seen. This is the amino acid 1 and this is the amino acid 2, right? Always, whenever you write the gel structure, first you need to write here the terminal region amino group and this region you need to write carboxyl group. From the carboxyl group, the hydroxyl OH group of the carboxyl, OH group of the one amino acid, and H group of the other amino acids amino group. Okay, here you can see the condensation or water molecules will be released. Okay, then that leads to the formation of the peptide bond. And once the peptide bonds are formed here, this particular bond is known as dipeptide. Dipeptide means, yeah, the C double bond where NH is the peptide bond. That's the di we are using because this peptide bond is formed because of the presence of two amino acids, amino acid 1 and this is amino acid 2. That's why I'll mention that as the dipeptide. If here one more amino acids are forming, there you are going to mention tripeptide. Due to the presence of 3 amino acid, 2 peptide bonds are formed. Okay. So whereas here when we use the word dipeptide, di, it is going to tell us about the presence of amino acid, not about the number of peptide bond. Okay, dipeptide. This is known as dipeptide. Okay, but this will be known as peptide bond. Okay, peptide bonds which are formed with the elimination of the water molecules between the adjacent amino acids. Okay, kindly make a note of this. So as we discussed already, amino acids are the building blocks of protein molecules. These are the amino acids. Okay, in the cytoplasm, individual amino acids will be there in the amino acid pool. Okay, then these amino acids will later joined together to form polypeptide. Okay, when this polypeptide will form during translation process, tRNA will bring all these amino acids to the mRNA and to the ribosome. There you can see the formation of the peptide bond. Peptide bond, polypeptide, which is going to form during the translation process. This peptide bond, polypeptide chain, is later turned into protein molecules. Okay, here you can see again the structure presentation of the amino acid and reaction of formation of the peptide bond. Always need to write this C double bond or NH in the trans conformation. Okay, C double bond or uppercase and NH will be at the lower. To conclude here, amino acids are the group of organic biomolecules that possess two oppositely charged functional groups. Okay, covalently bonded to a same carbon atom. One you can see amino group, other one that will be a carboxyl group. In anionic state, amino group that is positively charged, carboxyl group which is negatively charged. Four valence of on a single carbon atom, that is C1. You can see the basic structure of amino acid is occupied by amino group, carboxyl group, a proton, that is hydrogen, right? Proton, and R chain can be seen. Now let us understand about N terminal and C terminal. As more amino acid join growing chain, the resulting chain is known as polypeptide. Each polypeptide has a free amino group at one end. Okay, this end is called the N terminal or the amino terminal, and the other end has a free carboxyl group, also known as the C or carboxyl terminal. Okay, when you observe the polypeptide chain, always you are going to get one end as the amino terminal, other end as the carboxyl terminal after the peptide bond formation. Okay, when you take a DNA molecule, how we are going to write on either side? So 5' phosphate group and 3' hydroxyl group. Like that, in protein molecule or polypeptide chain, one end you are going to get as N terminal and another end will be always C terminal. Okay, when reading or reporting the amino acid sequence of a protein or polypeptide, the convention is to use N to C direction, always from N to C direction. And we were reading also N to C direction. When you take a DNA molecule, how are you going to read? The genetic code or codons always from 5' to 3' direction. The same nitrogenous bases, when you read from 3' to 5' is totally different, right? So in DNA molecule, reading the codons in a universal polarity, that is 5' to 3' only. Like that, you are reading here the polypeptide chains, amino acids, always from the N to C direction. That is, the first amino acid in the sequence is assumed to be one at the N terminal, and the last amino acid is assumed to be the one at the C terminal. Hope I'm making myself clear to you. Now let us go through here classification of amino acids. We have a variety of classification of amino acids in which I am giving you here very important one. First, I've classified here based on the nature of charge, that is classification of amino acids depending upon the nature of charge. Here, I've classified into three types: acidic amino acid, negatively charged; basic amino acids, positively charged; neutral amino acid, that is neutral charge. The second classification of amino acids based on the polarity of the side chain. Based on polarity are classified non-polar or hydrophobic R group, polar uncharged hydrophobic R group, negatively charged R group, positively charged R group. Okay. Next classification is classification based on the structure and composition of the side chain. Here I am giving 8 types of classification: aliphatic or simple or non-polar amino acid, aromatic amino acids or non-polar amino acid, heterocyclic amino acids, sulfur containing amino acids, hydroxy amino acids, acidic amino acids, basic amino acids, and amino acid amides. Okay. The next classification here, classification based on the nutritional requirements. Okay. Essential amino acids are indispensable amino acids. Another one, non-essential amino acids are dispensable amino acids. And the last classification I'm giving you here, classification based on their metabolic fate: glucogenic amino acids, ketogenic amino acids, both glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids. So these are some of the lists of classification of amino acids. Now let us go through one by one. Classification of amino acids. There are so many other derivatives of standard amino acids are there, okay, but we are not going to consider much about that. There are a number of ways based on chemical nature or nature of the charge, structure, biological importance, nutritional requirements, amino acid chain, etc. Okay, now let us go through here classification of amino acids depending upon the nature of charge. There are 3 types: acidic amino acid, basic amino acid, and neutral amino acid. Now let us understand the first one here, acidic amino acid, which are negatively charged. Okay, and these acidic amino acids are the amino acids containing the carboxyl group in their side chain, that is mono amino dicarboxylic acid. Okay, this is mono, one single amino group, dicarboxylic. Okay, mono amino dicarboxylic acid. For example, aspartate and glutamate, which are negatively charged amino acids. Okay, hope you are making note in your notebook. If I'm going very fast, quick, you can pause this video and you can make a note. Second one is basic amino acid, which are positively charged. These basic amino acid contains a amino group in the side chain. Okay, amino group in the side chain can be seen, that is diamino. Okay, diamino monocarboxylic acid. Okay, diamino monocarboxylic acid. For example, lysine, arginine, can also consider this histidine. Next one, neutral amino acid. Here, can also say monoamino carboxylic acid. Okay, monoamino carboxylic acid. An amino acid carries an anion, that is carboxyl group, and the cation, that is amino group. So an amino acid is neutral, that is with no charge, unless there is an extra base or an acid in the side chain. Thus, amino acids with a neutral side chains are known as neutral amino acids. So you can give all these examples for neutral amino acids like asparagine, glutamine, serine, threonine, we can put under neutral amino acids. Then here classification of amino acid based on the polarity of the side chain. Non-polar or hydrophobic, polar uncharged or hydrophilic, then negatively charged based on the R group, positively charged or R group. Let us go through the first one, that is non-polar or hydrophobic R group. R hydrocarbon or hydrophobic include 5 amino acids with aliphatic R groups: alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, proline, and 2 aromatic rings, namely phenylalanine, tryptophan, and 1 sulfur containing amino acid, that is methionine. Polar uncharged or hydrophilic R group. These are soluble in water and contain functional groups, that is hydroxyl, sulfhydroxyl, and amine group. And they form hydrogen bond with water. There are 7 amino acids: glycine, serine, threonine, tyrosine, cysteine, glutamine, and asparagine. If I'm going fast, kindly pause this video and make a note. Okay. Negatively charged R group. An extra carboxyl group with dissociable proton can be seen here. Example, aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Acidic amino acids, okay? Because they donate protons to become negatively charged. The next one, the positively charged R groups. An extra amino group in the side chain, okay, which gives the basic properties to become positively charged. Example, lysine, arginine, and histidine. The next classification here, classification based on the structure and composition of the side chain. They are classified into 8 types. Let us go through one by one now. First one, aliphatic or simple non-polar amino acids. They have no functional group in the side chain. Okay, they are non-polar or aliphatic amino acids. These are monoamino dicarboxylic acid. Mono means single amino group. Presence of 2 carboxylic group can be seen. The R groups in this class of amino acids are non-polar and hydrophobic. This group consisting of the most simple amino acids. For example, glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, and isoleucine. You can see the structure representation. If possible, you can keep in your mind the structure. Otherwise, no issues. You just mention the word of that particular amino acid, glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, like that. Otherwise, if you want, you can write the structure presentation. But in the examination, we will not ask any kind of this particular structure presentation at the BSc level. You can just write the general structure. Okay. Aliphatic amino acids, you can see glycine, right? This is the functional group. Alanine, okay, functional group. Simple aliphatic amino acid. Valine, CH3. Leucine, CH2, CH3, CH3. Isoleucine, okay? But if you learn all this structure, this is very easy to remember. Now let us go through here. Second classification. Aromatic amino acids are non-polar amino acids. In these amino acids, they have aromatic ring, that is benzene ring in the side chain. Aromatic amino acids, for example, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan, with their aromatic side chains, are relatively non-polar, that is hydrophobic. All can participate in hydrophobic interactions. Okay, phenylalanine, you can see the benzene ring, right? Tyrosine, and this is the tryptophan. Okay, whereas the tryptophan absorbs light at 280 nanometer. Okay, tryptophan has the highest absorption due to its two aromatic rings. Okay, you can see here the two aromatic rings in the tryptophan, but phenylalanine and tyrosine, only single ring can be observed. Okay, tryptophan contains indole ring. Two rings are fused, right? Phenylalanine, we can see the phenyl ring, and whereas the tyrosine with one reactive OH group can be seen. When we look at here, the hydrophobic and hydrophilic characteristics, whereas phenylalanine is hydrophobic, whereas the tryptophan and tyrosine are hydrophilic due to side chain containing hydroxyl group and NH reactive group. Aromatic amino acids have a unique property. They can absorb UV light. Tryptophan absorbs the light at 280 nanometer, whereas tyrosine can absorb at 276 nanometer, whereas phenylalanine absorbs less strongly and at the shorter wavelength. So this is about the aromatic amino acids or non-polar amino acids. If I'm going quick, you can pause this video and you can make a note. I request you to I request you to invest quality of time during your studies, because your study is your profession, your study is your career. Now let's go through here classification of heterocyclic amino acids. Okay, as the name suggests, hetero. Okay, a ring which possesses at least one atom, that is hetero atom, other than carbon, like nitrogen, okay, etc. That is, these amino acids have a heterocyclic ring in their molecule. For example, tryptophan, other than carbon, you can see the presence of the nitrogen. Proline also, right? You can see the heterocyclic condition can be observed. And this tryptophan absorbs light at 280 nanometer, and tryptophan has the highest absorption due to its aromatic rings. Two aromatic rings, they absorb the particular light. Next, sulfur-containing amino acids. These amino acids contain a sulfur atom in their side chain. Okay, amino acids with sulfur-containing groups are sulfur-containing amino acids. The sulfur-containing amino acids, you can see example, that is cysteine and methionine, are generally considered to be a non-polar and hydrophobic. Methionine is one of the most hydrophobic amino acid, and is almost always found in the interior of proteins because of the hydrophobicity. Okay, in aqueous condition, they all make the hydrophobic condition, and they'll be always in the interior of the proteins. Only hydrophilic which will be exposed to the aqueous condition. Okay, here the cysteine, that is SH or thiol group or sulfhydryl group, which are responsible for the formation of disulfide bond between the two cysteine molecules. You can see the formation of the disulfide bond. I think you have seen this disulfide bond in the insulin structure, right? Next, hydroxy amino acid. These amino acids which contain hydroxyl group in their side chain are known as hydroxy amino acids. For example, serine and threonine. Acidic amino acids. Amino acids in which R group is acidic are negatively charged. Okay. Acidic amino acids are aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Okay. The respective amide derivatives are asparagine and glutamine. All these four amino acids possess distinct codons for their incorporation into proteins. Next one is basic amino acids. Amino acids in which R group is basic or positively charged. For example, lysine, arginine, and histidine. Please note this one about the proline. Amino acids are a group of compounds that contain both an amide and carboxyl group. Okay, bonded to the alpha carbon atom. The difference between amino acids and amino acid is in the bonding of the nitrogen in the amide group. In amino acids, the nitrogen forms a double covalent bond to another molecule, two single bonds to two different R groups. When we go through this particular proline, proline is often referred to as an amino acid with the amino group. It has a secondary amide group, making it an amino acid. This is due to its cyclic nature, as the nitrogen in the amide group is bonded to two different R groups in the ring. Okay, to look about more on proline, let us go through here. Proline has an aliphatic side chain and it has no free amino group. Okay, side chains which are bonded to alpha carbon atom, and the ring structure which provides more conformational restrictions and plays a very crucial role and unique properties and functions. So this is all about the proline. The last one is amino acid amides. They are the derivatives of acidic amino acids in which carboxyl group has been transformed into amide group, that is CONH2. Okay. Example, asparagines. Other one is the glutamine or glutamate. Now let us go through classification based on their metabolic fate. Glucogenic amino acids. These amino acids serve as precursors glucogenesis for glucose formation. Example, glycine, alanine, methionine, aspartic acid. Ketogenic amino acids. These amino acids break down to form ketone bodies. For example, leucine and lysine. Both glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids. These amino acids break down to form precursors for both ketone bodies and glucose. Example, isoleucine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, and tyrosine. Now let us go through the properties of amino acids, or else you can also say physical properties of amino acids. Amino acids are colorless, crystalline solids. I want you all to make a note of this because in the exam usually they'll ask you the properties of amino acids or specifically physical properties of amino acids. Next, let us go to the solubility. Most of the amino acids are usually soluble in water, but insoluble in organic solvents like ether, benzene, methanol, ethanol, and propanol, etc. Whereas R group of amino acids and pH of the solvent play a very important role in the solubility, and changes can be seen based on their R group. On heating to high temperature, they decompose. All amino acids except glycine are optically active. Peptide bond formation, right? We already understood that one. Whereas amino acids can connect or join with the peptide bond involving their amino acid, carboxylate, amino and carboxylate groups. A covalent bond formed between the alpha amino group of one amino acid and alpha carboxyl group of other forming CONH linkage, right? Or C double bond O NH linkage. I've explained in the stereochemistry of the peptide bond, right? Peptide bonds are planar and partially ionic. Melting point of amino acid generally melt at higher temperature, about 200 degrees Celsius. When coming to the taste, amino acids are sweet. For example, glycine, alanine, and valine. For some of the amino acids are tasteless. For example, leucine. Some of the amino acids are very bitter. Example, arginine, isoleucine. Okay. Propensity to adopt a particular conformation can be seen in the amino acids. Amino acids are ampholytes, that is amphoteric in nature. That is, the amino acid contains both acidic, that is COOH, and basic, that is NH2 groups, and they can donate a proton or accept proton. Okay. In physiological pH range, both carboxylic acid and amino group completely ionized, and this leads them into acting as either an acid or base. Amino acid reacts with both acids and base, hence their amphoteric in nature. Also, we can say amphipathic or ampholytes or amphoteric in nature. In the exam, they may ask you for 1 or 2 marks. Define amphoteric nature or what are ampholytes. Okay, you must write this particular information. Now let us go through classification of amino acids based on their nutritional requirement. Okay, based on the nutritional requirement, amino acids are classified as essential amino acids or non-essential amino acids. The essential amino acids can also be known as indispensable amino acids, whereas non-essential amino acids can also be known as dispensable amino acids. Out of the 20 amino acids, 9 are essential and 11 are non-essential amino acids. Okay, the human body needs all 20 of these amino acids in varying degrees to be healthy and fully functional. All 20 have distinct chemical structures and are used for different roles, such as forming neurotransmitters, forming hormones, and producing energy, and so on and so forth. But their primary role is to build proteins, because these amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, right? Let us go to the first one, an essential amino acid or indispensable amino acid. Okay. Essential amino acid is an amino acid that cannot be synthesized by the human body. Thus, that must be supplied in its diet. Okay. Of the 21 amino acids common to all life forms, the 9 amino acids, here you can make out here the 20 amino acids. Of the 20 amino acids common to all life forms, the 9 amino acids humans cannot synthesize are phenylalanine, valine, threonine, tryptophan, methionine, leucine, isoleucine, lysine, and histidine. Okay, non-essential amino acids. These amino acids can be synthesized in body and so need not to be included in diet. For example, glycine, alanine, serine, cysteine, asparagine, glutamine, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, tyrosine, and proline. Here you can also see the click overview of classification based on nutritional requirement, essential amino acids example, and non-essential amino acids example. Okay, these non-essential amino acids which are synthesized by the body, and essential amino acids which are obtained from nutrition. Okay, you can make a note of all these things and you can keep this in your mind. Amino acids in human body. To conclude about essential non-essential amino acids, essential amino acids cannot be synthesized de novo in the organism and therefore must be included in the diet. Whereas non-essential amino acids can be synthesized from various precursors. Okay. Hope you're able to make a note of all these things. Hope I made myself clear to you regarding introduction to amino acids and classification of amino acids. I, Dr. Pratibha K, signing off for today. Stay tuned with me, stay connected, stay safe with me. Thank you for watching this video.